Hey, welcome back to a brand new season of ChatterBeans. I'm your host, Isaac Kong, and this is the podcast where every cup holds a story. Today, I'm kicking off season 3 with David Spencer, otherwise known as the Media Mentor. He tells us about how being obsessed as a child with music, playing records in his room, talking to himself, led to a long and fruitful career in media, journalism, and radio. He now mentors and coaches people all over the world to help them start their careers in media. And we get to know David on a more personal level and find out how he met his wife. What I really get from the conversation with David is his passion for music, his passion for the radio, and all things podcasting and media. I'm really excited to bring you this episode. This is ChatterBeans with David Spencer. David, welcome to ChatterBeans.
Well, it's fantastic to be here at last.
Yes, I'm genuinely really happy we can make this happen. David, you're known as the Media Mentor, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But we met earlier in the year, didn't we, for the radio and podcast course?
What a fantastic course it was. It's so much fun.
So much fun. And we had Talia. Is it Talia or Talia?
Talia.
Yeah, apologies. Talia.
And you know how this is a tip in my boring journalist world, because pronunciation is so important.
Yeah.
I remember saying to Talia, "Oh, you like Alitalia, the airline," and that's how I remember.
Exactly.
So it's not Alitalia, it's Alitalia. So Talia,
and Mimi, and we had them both on the podcast.
And then they went before me.
They did. They got in there first. But season 3, we've got you. So, David, tell us a little bit about you, your work, your journey, like how you got to where you've got to.
Dangerous question.
Yeah.
Because
it's a big, broad question.
Yeah, and I can talk a lot, as you know from the course. So, I mean, basically, I've been very, very lucky. My dad uses a word a lot about his career in the civil service, about I lived a charmed life and sort of whatever, and he really did.
Yeah.
And I kind of think the same thing, in that Dad could have easily been a journalist. He's a sort of knows lots of things, but not a lot about one thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's good for a journalist.
Yeah.
But I, at the age of 11 or 12, suddenly decided I liked talking out loud and playing music. And so for some reason, would get the record player, would talk in between the songs with mum and dad's records. So weird stuff, like there's a song in the 70s called Convoy, which is just, it was a film about lorries and a convoy, and it would be James Last. I mean, hideous 70s music. But I'd put all of these songs together. They had Beatles vinyls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just playing their records and talking, and probably with mum and dad outside the room going, "What's going on here?" And I'd obviously listened to the radio and thought, that's great. But I don't really know, you know how people say, there was a moment. And I often feel bad that there wasn't a moment, but I liked Peter Powell on the radio. I liked Bruno Brooks. So I liked music. I liked talking.
Yeah.
I'm proving it now.
I love that.
And so that was a sort of thing. And I started making tapes for friends so I could record a show. And I used to take a tape round to them. Here's the charts that we voted for this week. So I got everyone to vote for songs, create a chart, and add up all these scores. And we did this every week. And I thought they were listening to this 90-minute cassette every week of chart. And as I've got older and I'm thinking, yeah, it just sat on the mantelpiece in all of their houses. But it made me very happy.
Yeah.
And so for a few years did that. And actually then left school at 16, not really with many O-levels.
Okay.
Applied for a job, first job, only job I applied for at that stage, got it, working in a factory.
Yeah.
Then started earning money. Money's great. And forgot about the radio stuff for a bit, just bought lots of records with this money I was earning. And then there was a moment when I was dumped by someone.
Oh.
Painful. And this is a great radio anecdote. It's been used on my show probably about half a dozen times over the years. But at the end of this long thing about why I was being dumped, Sarah said to me, and the worst thing is you reverse into car parking spaces all the time. And apart from the tirade that came before that, where I'm like, okay, you ripped me apart for all my personal faults. But reversing into car parking spaces makes sense. You can leave quicker.
Exactly.
Right? You do the hard bit first.
Yes.
So I couldn't understand this final anger.
I'm with you.
So I walked away from this relationship. I went into work on the Monday morning, and this guy I worked with, brilliant Brian, this colleague that I worked with, that sort of looked after me, said, David, get over it and go and do hospital radio and do that radio thing that you've been talking about for ages. Just do it.
Yeah.
So I went to hospital radio, and this is the sort of, if you like, domino kind of luck that you have. Something happens, then something else happens, and you kind of get that run.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to hospital radio, I wouldn't have been told about this course that was near where the radio station was, this Radio Wexham Hospital Radio in Slough. Someone said, go and do this course. On that course, radio station boss turned up and said, we're launching a radio station in Slough. Who really wants to do radio? And I put my hand up along with a colleague. We went along as helpers. So it's what we call interns now, but basically, not doing and not getting any money and doing lots of things. We wouldn't go home. They gave us, remarkably, within 6 months, we were on air doing a show. 1 week, Philip would do evenings. 1 week, I would do evenings.
Wow.
And all I ever wanted to do was an evening show on radio. Because to be really boring about radio, and certainly in the olden days, less so now, if you listen in the evening, you're really invested.
Yes.
Because fewer people do, because the TV would dominate and people can go out.
Yeah.
But if you have an audience in the evening, they're really into the show. And I wanted people to really listen, do the competitions that needed thinking, be invested in me as a narrative.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And so I did that. And luckily for a few years did that. Then lent on the journalism more, and in the years since done lots of journalism stuff. So launched podcasts, work at Reuters now doing a news podcast. So much more the journalism. I probably wasn't a very good presenter.
Really? Why'd you say that?
Partly because of that long answer you just had. Can you imagine the links? The bit in the story that I do like to tell is that I met my wife because of my show.
Just about to say this.
Yeah. So my wife was a listener and we had this bond over the phone. I lost my show in the evening, and a group of listeners, of which she was a part, this group of kind of regular phoning in, taking part women, said, David, can we take you out for a meal? Because it's your last show. We'll take you out. And so I got to know Anne after that. And I always use it in teaching, because I think it's a great example of how magical radio is as a way to communicate.
Yes.
It's so intimate.
Yeah.
One-on-one.
Yeah.
But,
live in that moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And so that connection. So going back to whether I was any good, I was funny. I think I was funny. I really enjoyed it. But there was a point where it was good that I stopped.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a better journalist now than I would have ever been a radio presenter. But the idea of playing music and someone ringing up and going, that song you just played, because obviously back then you couldn't Shazam it.
No.
You
Exactly.
People would ring up and go, what was that? If they hadn't heard you announce it, and going, that's amazing. Or thank you so much for playing this song. And you just needed that once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Keep you going.
Yeah, because sharing music, I love playlists. I love sharing music. So playing music and introducing people to music is magical.
Yeah, definitely. And so then going from radio presenting to now presenting the news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a newsreader.
Newsreader.
I don't
think
like
you might
that.
recognise your voice.
Maybe.
I feel like I recognised your voice.
I think it's maybe because I sound like a lot of people that have taught how to read the news over the years. It's sort of, you're very BBC sounding.
Yes.
Although I'd never done BBC news reading. I don't like the term newsreader because I was always big on you actually should present it, not read it, because that's the skill. I used to love doing, for a time I did the news on Smooth.
Oh, yeah.
In London, and sort of friends would listen and go, 7 o'clock news on Smooth with David Spencer. It's you're so right for that.
Yes.
But it's a very different experience because news is obviously limiting.
Yeah.
No personality in that sense.
Exactly.
But I got a lot from that. And I wasn't a journalist interested in necessarily meeting people and going out and finding stories and finding truths.
Yeah.
I liked my voice being on the radio, and I liked breaking stories. So when I was running news teams at News UK, I mean, we had to break COVID. So the night Boris Johnson made that big announcement, within moments I was on the radio breaking that story,
Really?
talking about that story, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Because it's exciting.
It's a rush.
Yeah, it is a real rush. So journalism gave me quite a lot of that adrenaline rush that, say, playing a new song by whoever on the radio would have given me. And at times I got to choose the music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just so lucky to curate music. There's not a better job, really.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've done this many years of radio, news, presenting, and then the media mentor.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, my memory is that a lot of times a colleague would come up to me and say, David, can I just have a chat?
Yeah.
And I'd have a little chat and it would be about career. It would be about some sort of work issue. I thought, I'm quite good at this. But combined with that, because I was self-employed a lot of the time, so looking for work, I thought, and social media just sort of obviously kicked in the 2000s. So when I'd moved out of music radio at the turn of the century, doing a little bit more news, I was working at Sky News, doing much more news stuff and really getting much better as a journalist, because I was a terrible journalist before I went to Sky News, really bad. In local radio, you make so many mistakes, and there aren't places for people to make those mistakes now. So that's one of the issues with the industry. But I was, really getting good journalist skills, but I was looking for other work, and I thought, I'm going to share this on social media. I find a job, I'm going to post it.
Yeah.
So two things happened. I thought I could create this thing, which is what we call now a side hustle.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a thing back then. It was just like, well, what's media mentor? And I thought, this is quite a good name.
Yeah.
So it is, 20 years ago, I kind of created it off the back of those conversations, because people would just come to me to share their issues and their problems, and I give them a bit of advice. I enjoyed doing it. I think I talk quite a lot of sense.
Yes.
I'm much better at giving advice to others than taking it myself.
I think we all are.
Yeah. So and that's how I built it. I mean, I'm really proud of it, because the thing is, if I get an email like I did the other week, I had a client who was in Australia, and we had a few sessions with them in Australia, and he said, I'm coming to the UK. I'm going to do it. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You're going to try and get a job in the UK. So you're going from zero.
Really?
And he said, yeah, I don't mind what I do. And so I helped him with the CV, helped him sort of apply for a few things when he was in Australia, but really worked on what I do, which is how you present your experience and your skills. And a couple of weeks ago, got an email from him saying, David, just to let you know, tomorrow is my first day at this really big sports production company. And without you, I wouldn't have got there. And obviously, I don't believe in altruism. I get a lot from that.
Yeah.
But I get a lot more from that from breaking 7/7 terror attack or the Boris Johnson lockdown, which were exciting stories, sadly, to do as a journalist.
Of course, yeah.
And all the stories that I've done over the years, I get much more reward from that.
Do you?
Yeah. Really making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're helping people.
Yeah, and I just think, there's maybe people are more talented than me. So sometimes I can see you're going to have a really good career and you deserve this. Sometimes I'm helping, but I don't know how they'll do. But I've made a little bit of a difference. We've talked on my podcast to a number of former clients where I say, yeah, I played a small part. And they're often go, no, it wasn't a small part.
Exactly.
It's a big part.
Yeah.
And so the mentoring worked alongside doing the teaching is where you met me. And that was, the mentoring started before that. But I think the teaching is just something that's really surprised me as a thing.
Well, it's being in that leadership position, right? Like being a good leader, you recognize that people might be better than you, and you're helping them on their way, and you're giving them something.
Yeah. And I think something I pride myself on is I think I know what people's strengths are too. So sort of emotional intelligence thing. I'm not boasting that because there are times where I really don't have emotional intelligence, but I think reading people is really important. Yeah. So I would know where someone should go or what they should do. I'm not a big believer in come and work here and you do everything. I think some people are particularly good at some things.
Yes.
So I felt I was good at that. And a colleague at Talk Sport, one of the stations that I worked at, said to someone once, go and work for David, you will get better.
Really?
And that was all I wanted people to do, is come into my team, get better at what they did.
Yeah.
And that's the teacher in me. I mean, when I work at Reuters now, often I do a bit of training and someone go, you really are a teacher, aren't you? And I'm not sure it's a compliment.
How do you think that happened?
It's a really good question, because I don't know, because I don't even think, I mean, I certainly never thought about it.
No, because you're talking about radio from a childhood.
Yeah.
That basically carried its way.
And I was really shy.
Really?
So sitting in a room playing music and talking, the first radio station I worked at, the evenings firstly was good because no one was around in the station.
Yes.
So when they put me on daytimes, I'd be really self-conscious of speaking out loud because they had speakers in the room, so all the sales staff were around.
Yeah.
But also we were in a shopping centre.
Oh, wow.
So we had this sort of glass bowl, if you like, where people could come in and watch you. And for me, it was the worst thing. I just wanted to sit in a dark room, do radio, be funny, not be seen. But I think so to stand in front of 80 people or 100 people to do a lecture or a presentation at 23, 24, no way.
Yeah.
So radio helped with that, obviously with confidence. But I think I went to the University of Westminster once and had a conversation where I said, I think too many BBC people teach journalism. And this person said, funny, our external examiner has just told us that. And so it's just good timing. And Jim, as a guy at the university, I've always thanked him. He said, could you stop thanking me for that? But I think he sort of changed my life a little bit by going, David, come along and teach. And I think the reason why it's made a difference to me is I'm not academic. I don't have a degree. So as I said, I left school at 16. And I think teaching has made me examine everything I do and do the critical thinking that university teaches you.
Yeah.
And so everything I do, I'm better at because I teach, and I'm a better teacher because of everything else I do.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think I'm very lucky in that.
Yeah. I mean, you're building such a brand almost, right? Like, I mean, being on your course, I'd already started the podcast just before, but you taught me how to like hone my skills and like change things slightly. And there is a skill in that. And you saw talent in everyone in that room, but the talent might be slightly different.
And that is the trick, in a sense, to like I say, to see where someone can get better, or even where they should move themselves towards, where their strengths might be, because that can be a difficult discussion. And I know that when I ran a team, when I inherited it, everyone was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I thought, how am I going to solve this?
Yeah.
Because none of you are doing what you should be doing. And I think that's a management thing. But in terms of the teaching, I get an awful lot from being able to lean on the experience, which is good. But I think you also then have to kind of read people and do it. But it definitely changed how I worked. And I mean, the City Lit courses, it's like a big warm hug of a place. I say that every time I start the course.
Yeah.
Meet really fascinating people, and they're all there for very different reasons.
Yeah.
And so tuning into that is part of the skill.
Well, that's what I thought on the first session. Everyone was completely different backgrounds, completely different reasons. I think there was someone who works for I think it was like a pharmacy company. She was asked to produce a podcast for the company. And I'm like, wow, this is such a different reason to me, who just wants to produce a podcast about chatting. So, such a skill. Do you find it easy or difficult now to listen to the radio? Are you able to just switch the radio on and enjoy it?
No. Richard Allenson on Greatest Hits Radio. I'll give him a mention because he's just celebrated, I think it was 40 years.
Wow.
And he's just a consummate professional. He's not a sort of Chris Evans in your face presenter. He's not a Deej like someone like Gary Davis.
Yeah.
He's just a solid presenter who makes it seem really easy when it really isn't as easy. I can listen to him because I've always liked him, but as my wife will testify, I am terrible to be around when the radio's on
Really?
because there is so much terrible stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit like, I'd imagine, I love music, but I don't really want to know the technicalities of music because I think it might spoil it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know why I like a song.
Yeah.
And I think, in a way, with the quote is in radio, you can't listen to radio the same way once you've worked in it.
Yeah.
And so I would get annoyed about news bulletins and links and stuff that no one's going to notice as a normal listener.
Yeah.
But so, no, I can't. And I actually listen much more to podcasts. And because the beauty of where we're going with listening, in the car, I can plug my phone in and it's like your own radio station with podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I can go, right, I'm listening to that.
Yeah.
I'm listening to that next. I don't have to listen to anything I don't want to,
Yeah.
which is what radio is. And I shouldn't talk down radio. But even when I was in it and doing shows, I found it very hard to listen to other places.
Really?
I love listening to myself, which tells you quite a lot about me.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So the Media Mentor, where do you want to take it in the future? Like, what's your goal, I suppose?
Well, Mrs. Mentor, as she's affectionately known,
I love it.
says, why don't you just make that your thing?
Yeah.
Because it's always been a side hustle. And I launched the podcast this year having thought about it for a long time. And it's such an obvious thing for me to do as someone who obviously talks out loud for a living.
Yes.
And listens and makes podcasts. And so that's a step towards it becoming a little bit more of a thing. Because you mentioned the brand word earlier, and it was a brand I created. Well, I've talked about this on my podcast. Someone said to me about being self-employed. I was going to take a job sort of late 2000s. And they said, David, why would you take a job? You're a brand.
Yeah.
You can work in all of these places because you're David Spencer. And I thought, well, that's a weird thing to say. But the Media Mentor really is a brand.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd like to make it more of a thing. I'm very proud of it because of the reasons I said earlier and because it came out of my head.
Yeah.
And early on, I mean, there are a few rivals, if you want to call it that. There are places that you can go, but there isn't really anyone doing what I'm doing.
No, exactly.
And I could have really done with someone to talk to at various points.
Yeah.
And when people say, I'm just going to message you and I've had an awful day. This has happened at work. And on the way here, someone had messaged a voice message on WhatsApp, which I'm getting used to because
I feel funny about them.
But, and it's obviously a situation that's happened. How do I deal with this? And I love the fact that I'm someone that they can call upon for that.
Yeah.
And so I guess to answer your question is I don't know where it goes except that it is my thing and the world is changing technologically wise.
Yeah.
So a lot of some of the things I do will be done by technology, but I don't think this human thing can be replaced, obviously. So leaning on that a little bit more is probably what I would get to do.
They're trying, but saw some robot in China, AI robot doing things for people in the street, which is just crazy.
Newsreaders,
Yeah.
AI voices, AI presenters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably, there are some presenters I would replace with AI. And there are definitely some newsreaders that I would replace with AI. But I think the human bit of everything we do.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this phase, and it's quite a scary phase for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is we do really treasure the human part. And I think in a lot of what we do, we haven't been doing that.
No, I agree. But I think there's so much more videos, podcasting, human interaction in the street, for example. You just need to walk in London and you're seeing people filming all sorts of things because they want to be with people.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping some of this will stay. So away from your media work and radio presenting and all of your career, what do you like to get up to?
Well, music, obviously, as I mentioned, it really is a proper sort of hobby. And my wife once said about the order of importance. And she said the band that is, and we would have talked about it on the course, my favorite band, Delamitri. Someone once said to me, weird band to have as your favorite band. I've been angry ever since because your favorite band is your favorite band.
Yes.
doesn't, don't ever criticize someone's music taste. You should really just let people enjoy what they enjoy. So she put, so I'm really number 3 after Delamitri and Reading Football Club at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I grew up in Reading. I was born in Reading, and I've supported them since my teens, having followed them. And there was a period of time when they were a big part of my life, almost too much.
Really?
And yeah, and it would bother me when they lost, the typical kind of football thing, and I would, be grumpy and stuff like that, which is just, my wife said to me early on, but it is just a game, isn't it? And I said, right.
Don't say that again.
Here's why you're not going to say that again. And years later, she does understand, because it isn't just a game. We've seen that my football club, Reading, almost went out of business, completely,
Really?
almost vanished in the last 6 months.
And did someone take over?
And someone took over and saved us.
Yeah.
And there are, it
wasn't Ryan Reynolds, was it?
Sadly not.
He took over
Wrexham.
Wrexham.
Yeah, no, but it is an American who came in, but not from Hollywood. So we haven't got the famous thing. But lots of fans, Reading Football Club is their life.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, we need something.
Yeah.
You can be it's religion, it can be your football club,
Totally.
it can be music. So sport is important to me. I love cricket. I do really love listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I love theatre and film and all the kind of normal cultural things. My favourite band, Delamitri, the singer Justin Curry, has been in the media a lot recently because he has a book out about having Parkinson's. Okay. And he's only 60. And to me, I found that really emotionally difficult. My mum's quote to me when I was younger was always, "David, you take it so personally." And this was like football or cricket. But Justin, I take it personally. He's been part of my life for 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
I've interviewed him. I've been lucky enough to meet him a couple
of
times. I've made a documentary about the band. So him getting that condition has really hit me, because he can't do what is his job.
Yeah.
And so I went to Glasgow last Christmas as almost a pilgrimage to see them at a place called Barrowlands, which is the kind of their heartland venue in Glasgow, because they're from Glasgow. And I was an emotional wreck in all the build-up, because everything had to be right.
Yeah.
And I thought the gig will get cancelled, the train won't run. And so I was really, and everything went perfectly.
Yeah.
And can I just give a mention to a former mentoring client, Colin, who's one of the loveliest people on the planet, and he went with me to this gig.
Oh, really?
And he was perfect person to be with. My wife would not have done it.
Yeah.
Because I was so awful to be with. And she knew what it meant to me. But so things like that. And I do think it's a really interesting thing about how emotionally attached you get to people that are in effect either a sports person, an England cricketer, or someone in a band who are arm's length more away.
Yeah.
And when Mum used to say that to me, I used to be a little bit like, well, I don't really know how else I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah, especially when they've been part of your life for so long.
Yeah, and a team losing a football match, why would I take it personally? Well, because it means something to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I think I do take stuff like that very personally.
Do you?
So it's like Delamitri is my thing. People know me and Delamitri go together. But when I went to that gig in Barrowlands, I bumped into this woman called Lisa, who randomly I'd met on the way to a Delamitri gig in Edinburgh a few years ago. She was holding the same book as me because it was about the band. And we were in the sort of check-in queue.
Yeah.
And I went, I'm reading the same book. Well, you off to see Delamitri at Edinburgh Castle. Met them then in Edinburgh by accident, then went to a gig together. And then in Glasgow, randomly bump in, and they'd just been to Perth to see them, and they'd gone on.
Wow.
And you realise the band means as much to these people. So it's not me, because you often think it's just you.
Yeah, no.
And then there's this little community.
Do you think this is a generation thing? Do you think it still happens? Because I don't know if that still happens in the same way with younger people anymore.
Well, I suppose it does, but on a much bigger scale. Because if you're a Swiftie, you are part of a community, but it's a huge community.
Yeah.
And we all know about it.
Yeah.
I think what's different, and I don't know if you'll agree, is music was very sort of segregated when I was young. So I dyed my hair blonde. I loved Duran Duran. I was a new romantic.
Yeah.
When the other boys at school started listening to the Smiths or whatever, I was like, oh, no idea. He's a miserable so-and-so. I can't listen to. I love George Michael. I love Duran Duran.
Yeah.
And so I held on to that for a bit long, but you were part of that.
Yeah.
And then you remember the goths phase, and there would be awful stuff that would happen to goths, but you had music communities.
Yeah.
I think because we can listen to everything now, that's a bit lost.
I agree.
But also that sense of attachment, no, maybe not. I hope not, because whoever you like, I've noticed, I think it's 29 Pilots are a band that have got a really strong community and they really look after their fans, talk a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that's fabulous.
Yeah.
I just think it's different.
I think it's different. You're right. I was just thinking about fans in different worlds, like theatre. I mean, Oscar's just finished in Starlight, and honestly, the fans clocking up 40, 50 times watching.
Really?
Then we went to see Titanic on Saturday, and I don't know if you've seen it. No. It's bloody ridiculous. It's good. It's stupid, but it's good. But they called up 2 audience members because there's an ad-lib bit in the middle of the show for about 10 minutes.
Wow.
These people 133 times had seen the show. Wow. I think I was borderline obsessed.
But this is what I think is really interesting, because I often think, okay, I'm a Delamitri geek.
Yeah.
But you meet someone who's more obsessive.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm obsessive. It's just a passion. But yeah, exactly. And I remember I've listened to Titanic podcast recently.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And in that, the final episode features a few people who watched the film.
Right.
And this guy said, I've seen it 67 times. Now, I think Titanic as a film is actually terrible. And I thought it at the time.
Did you?
Yeah. I was kind of felt like, it looks like the boat's sinking in a bath. Don't really understand the storyline. But this podcast is amazing, and just the sort of thing I love listening to, is very immersive. But I listened to it, I thought there's always someone who will be more into, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, good for them.
And if they've been to see that show so many times,
Exactly.
I think if I've seen Les Mis 3 times, I think that's a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I'm a bit weird for seeing it if I want to see it again.
Yeah.
And I loved Miami Vice as a TV show when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my mum used to come into the room and say, "Oh, you're having your fix. You're watching an episode of Miami Vice."
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a thing for people.
Exactly.
Whatever you have, let people be.
Yeah.
And back to your question about, is it the same? When that person said to me, "What a weird band to have as your favorite band," I don't think people would say that now.
No, I agree.
Because I think we can have what we want.
Yeah. I think there's so many different interests in the world, isn't there?
Just let people have their passions.
Yeah, exactly. What about coffee? Do you like coffee?
I do like coffee, but I am restrained and slightly boring.
Go on.
That it's a latte, and it's relatively weak. Earlier I had one where I said, is it 2 shots or 1 here? 1 shot. So I'm really quite lightweight.
Wow.
But I do worry that 11 o'clock in the morning, if it hasn't happened at that stage, I can feel my brain, I can feel the headache coming.
Yes.
And I can feel my brain going, your drug is due now. And that's the bit that is a little, but I do love coffee. And I love the fact that coffee has become a thing.
Yeah, really.
My wife and I like going for coffee. I mean, in a way, it's sort of too much now, but, our high street where we live is sort of more coffee shops than anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
But that wasn't the case 20, 30 years ago. And
the pub, right? Or
yeah, and I'm so not a pub person.
Yeah, yeah, me neither.
And I really love the going for coffee,
yeah,
and that kind of thing. So I like that culture. What I'm worried about is the price of cocoa and just how much coffee is going up. So
yeah, it's going to get worse actually by the end of the year. I think we're sure it's going to increase. It's a lot. I mean, I don't go to Starbucks at all, but when you see people getting their coffee with all these shots and syrups and everything, and paying £6 a coffee, I just think madness.
Do you do the coffee from origin with beans and stuff?
I try to. Yeah, I try to find independence and like different beans, but then the single origin is usually a lot more money. So yeah, I balance it out with a Pret sometimes. I'm okay to admit.
Wow.
I know.
I remember it's a bit like anything where you sort of go from reading books. I always think of this. I read an author called Mary Higgins Clark when I started reading a bit more as an adult.
Yeah.
Terrible crime writer. But it was a good way to, Dan Brown and the Da Vinci Code. It's a terrible book, but it's a good read.
Yeah.
Really good read. And then you get to sort of reading The Great Gatsby or something, which I happen to think is one of the greatest books of all time, or Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is my favorite book.
Right.
And they are just different, but you need to get there. And with coffee, it's sort of Costa, Starbucks, Cafe Nero, and then I sort of gone up on brands and then get a little bit more picky.
Exactly.
And get a bit more cultured and maybe snobby.
Yes. I think everyone does at some point.
Yeah.
Great.
You work towards that.
If you could have coffee with anyone, who would it be? Dead, alive?
Do you know, I was asked this in a Sky News interview.
Really?
And my answers were so pilloried. I've kept them to this day because one of them would be Bono.
Okay.
Because going back to liking music when I was young, and because we've had the Live Aid thing recently, it's 40 years, and the Live Aid musical, by the way.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. It's fantastic.
One of Oscar's old castmates from Miss Saigon's in it.
And just a random story, if I've got time to tell you this. We went to see something called Sing Street recently, which is a lovely 80s-based musical. It's just lovely. The film is really lovely. It's a delight. And it's basically me. The guy in it looks like me at 13, blonde bit. Halfway through, he dyes his hair with a little bit blonde at the front, which my mum did for me.
Yeah.
And there were only 3 boys in the whole school that did it. Yeah. I mean, it looked like a bird had pooped on your head. Anyway, so we went to see this musical called Sing Street. In the interval, though, at the start, this guy sat next to me, spilt a bit of beer on me. I don't drink. I'm really funny about the smell of beer and alcohol generally. And so I got out a wet wipe and was like cleaning. And I said, sorry, I don't drink. I don't want you to think I was being too much of a tart. He's like, no, it's fine. Sorry. In the interval, came back. He said, no beer this time. You'll be delighted to know. Started chatting to this guy and said, what do you think of this? Turns out he produces just for one day.
Really?
And was there watching Sing Street. And he said, have you seen it? I said, I saw it at the Old Vic, loved it.
Yeah.
So, and I love musicals, but and I wanted to chat to this person more. My wife was like, okay, I'm now been forgotten because you're now locked into this guy.
Yeah.
And so as the music for the second half started, we were still sort of chatting. And then,
he's just like, wait.
So let's do this as a podcast. So with Live Aid recently, I've been reminded of that time of when I was at sixth form, we had a dartboard and you could play music in the sixth form. And I changed school. So my school that I was at, secondary school, shut down.
Oh, wow.
It was so bad. We were the last year. So there was kind of 40 of us in the last 2 years walking around this because obviously everyone had left the school because they got rid of third years. All that stuff. It was really weird, like a ghost town. And it was a terrible school. So for sixth form, I moved schools. And it was really scary because I was very shy.
Yeah.
In the words of my family, quite wet at that stage, which I, to this day, hate that word. And so I really wanted to be cool in the sixth form. So you'd sometimes choose the music. If you could time it right, your tape would be played.
Right.
And I put U2 on and a song called Bad, which is off Unforgettable Fire. And it's just a wonderful song. And they did that at Live Aid. And it's the one where Bono dances with the woman and they just carry on playing. And what I was saying to someone recently is you can't underestimate how cool Bono was then.
Yeah.
Because now it's Bono who annoys a lot of people. Wasn't wearing his sunglasses then. But for me at 14, 15, he was just this. And I said in this Sky News interview, I'd interview Bono and Bill Clinton to ask him what it will be like to be a president's wife. Because at that time, Hillary was on her way to be president. And it was kind of trying to be clever.
Yeah.
And they hated both the answers. And they said, well, Bono's an idiot. And, Bill Clinton's been president.
Yeah.
I think it'd definitely still be Bono. I think I'd be interested in interviewing Bill Clinton, having a coffee with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Because I think going back to the music thing, I've done it a lot. I'm a reverse music snob in that I like a lot of rubbish.
Yeah.
But I also don't know why some people like certain artists. So over the years, Coldplay, I've probably had quite a dig at.
Have you?
And really, they're just like U2 in a sense. Huge band that lots of people have liked and then have gone kind of annoying, possibly to some.
Oh, yeah.
Except they went on a different poppy curve. I like a few Coldplay songs. But when I've shot them down, I think that's really mean.
Yeah.
And now I really say, someone said to me recently their favorite band was Coldplay. And inside, I was like, that's so disappointing. Because I think come out with a more interesting answer was what I was thinking. But actually, if that's your favorite band, amazing for you.
Yeah.
So I think because music is so personal, the magic of that connection, and going back to where we started with the radio thing and meeting my wife, if my wife had not loved music and joined in the appreciation of Delamitri, put up with my fascination, and the boys, my stepchildren, have been Delamitri fans, been to gigs,
Really?
and are still attached to them for that reason.
Yeah.
I think that's very special. But if she hadn't have been as interested in music, I don't think we would have been together. Because when people say to me they don't really like music, I feel like I've got nothing to say. And that feels really harsh.
No, I think I agree with you. If you were to ask Oscar does he like music, I think he would immediately say no, but it's just not true.
Right.
He's forever listening to K-pop and he has his bands. But we just don't listen to it the same way. See, I listen to music a lot of the day. I'm working here. You'll have music playing, whereas he has short, sharp bursts.
So everyone enjoys music, I think.
Yeah.
Although I have met people that don't. But I think mine is definitely an invested hobby.
Yes.
Going back to take it personally. So Delamitri have literally soundtracked my life. And that can be things that have been awful that have happened, things that have been amazing that have happened. There is a song for each of those, probably by Delamitri. And I think that's super special. So that's why I don't think you should shoot it down for whoever says it.
Yeah.
So, but I think what's interesting that I got to, so lucky to have got to do that as a job. And I kind of think I got to 27 doing that.
Yeah.
Doing a radio show, playing music. I once, because I loved Miami Vice, I've mentioned the TV show.
Yeah.
Really sadly loved it. And there was a song they used to have lots of songs, but there was a song in it and I didn't know what it was. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to find this out. Again, no Shazam.
Yeah.
So I recorded it onto a tape from the video, took it to my radio show, and I decided that night I was going to make a feature of this. Hey, I'm a big Miami Vice fan. I'm watching this episode. I don't know what this song was. There was a person in Windsor phoned up and said, that is the church and Milky Way.
Amazing.
And it's a song that's actually been in Donnie Darko, which lots of people like as Under the Milky Way. It's an amazing song. But what a lovely piece of radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also
really
that
into someone.
Yeah, and just sort of, what are the chances?
Yeah.
I had 6 listeners. What are the chances that one of those 6, not being either my mum or my future wife, knew what that song was? And so to bring it all together in that moment, I think I'm so lucky. And going back to my dad's quote of a charmed life.
Yeah.
I've been so lucky to do all the things that I do and do what are things that I truly am passionate about.
Yeah. And so thinking about all of that, is there a bit of advice or a life lesson that you would like to share with people?
Well, I suppose there's so much that I would say. Certainly I bore people with, if you want to show that you can do something or impress people, have initiative.
Yeah.
So really try and see an opportunity or where you can help before they ask you. That's what initiative is.
Yes.
So that is really important to me.
Okay.
But I also think we've spoken a lot on my podcast to people who have had a podcast as a passion project, or someone who runs a book club as a passion project. Do those things alongside something else, and you never know what it could happen. Don't write it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was very lucky, and getting into radio was much easier for me. And I was just right place, right time. Those dominoes that all fell for me at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously a little bit of talent, I would argue, but also the initiative to do stuff.
Yes.
The willingness to put myself in some places. Once at the radio station, the computer completely crashed. We had to play CDs all night, 24 hours. I stayed up all night. I mean, it was great because I got to play all these songs
Yeah,
that I could choose, but I wanted to do it.
yeah.
But of course, that buys you a lot of kind of credit with people.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that perhaps sometimes I see in younger people, they're not quite willing to do, because in some ways I was exploited.
Yes.
I went in for free. They wrung me out for everything.
Yeah.
But I feel I got as much out of them.
Exactly.
Well, I certainly did.
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult conversation. And we've had it on the podcast recently about working for free and unpaid work, because with diversity, it's a real issue, because obviously some people can afford to do it, some people can't.
Yes.
But I would think, and that I maximized that opportunity because I had sort of the initiative and the willingness to do it. That would be my advice. And you never know where it can take you. And I've had clients doing the same thing and want to do something, end up going in a completely different direction because of a passion project or
Exactly.
connected to it.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
And don't be too fixated on this is what I want to be. If you want to be a vet, you're going to be a vet.
Yeah.
You're going to be a surgeon, you're going to be a surgeon. But for media, particularly, you could end up being anything. You don't have to present the news. You could end up doing, or you don't have to present music.
Yeah.
Because you must get so much enjoyment from the podcast.
I love the podcast, particularly this season so far. I mean, we're recording season 3, and you're my 4th in as many days, and I've just had 4 very great conversations, and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning the process of editing, putting it out there, the socials. It's all for fun right now. It may take off, it may not.
But here's the difference to when at 13 I started talking to myself and playing songs. That was going nowhere. Recording on a cassette to give to friends,
Yeah.
fine. On the podcast recently, Colin talked about his son doing a podcast during the Club World Cup in football.
Yeah.
And his family listening to it. But he could put that online.
Exactly.
And this is, so that part of that advice before is, you can do this.
Yeah.
Because you've got the opportunity now. Everyone can broadcast.
Yeah.
So do it. Don't just think, oh, I wish.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Time for a quick fire round.
Okay, go on then.
Then we're going to wrap it up. Right, ready?
Yep.
First thing you do in the morning.
Is look at my phone.
Roll over, phone.
Yeah.
If you were to pack a bag right now, where would you be going?
Mid Wales.
Why?
A place called Garth is where we had a few holidays as a kid. It's in the Brecon Beacons, and it's where my wife knows that if anything happened, she'd find me.
Wow. I love that. One thing that always lifts your mood.
Definitely music.
Yeah.
Definitely music.
Yeah. Something you swear by.
Shazam.
Shazam, really?
My favourite ever app.
Is it?
I mean, I still don't know really how it works.
I have no idea.
But the fact, going back to that story of finding music or whatever, just how we found songs 40 years ago, if you just, I don't know how it happened. There would be songs that have disappeared. Shazam is, I swear by it.
Literally. I haven't done it for a while, but I used to teach cycle classes, and I'm planning to go back and teach some covers, but I've lost all my inspiration in music because it's very specific at the club. I had someone else's class the other day and held down the Shazam button, and it records the whole class.
Wow.
So you don't need to just press it once. If you hold it, it will record the entire... It's crazy.
Listen, Isaac, I am still not paying for things on my phone. And this weekend, my wife showed off by going, I'm buying this coffee by doing this. And I went, how can you be ahead of me?
Yeah, exactly. Funny. Pleasure you will never give up.
You know the question about whether it would be being deaf or being blind type thing that people sometimes ask, which is a really cheery question. So it's going to be a boring answer, but I could not go without music.
Music, yeah.
I go to it every day.
I love that. One risk you glad you took?
I think, yeah, so many. Okay, I'm gonna give the lovely answer, which is when Anne said to me, "Would you like to meet again?" I'm gonna write a radio book one day, and the radio book will be called Breaking Rule Number One.
Yes.
And it is very much connected to how I met Anne. And I can't tell you, for probably 5 to 10 years after we were together, I felt incredibly guilty that she was a listener
Really? Why?
because it was such a no-no.
Yeah.
Do not fraternize.
Yeah.
Have you not seen Play Misty for Me?
No.
Very famous film that's kind of pre-stalking.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And any radio boss, my first boss, oh, mate, watch Play Misty for Me. And so I did feel incredibly guilty. And I think that is a shadow on my early relationship with Anne that I really regret,
Yeah.
because who cared?
Literally no one. No one cares.
No one cares. And what in the way a beautiful way to meet someone. But at the time, all I could think was, oh, I don't know what I've done.
Yeah.
And not because of Anne in any way,
Yeah.
because of that, what I was told.
And those that care don't matter. But really no one cares.
Well, I think that's the bit in life that I maybe still haven't quite learned,
Yeah.
but we do learn too late, is really most people don't care about stuff. What you're wearing,
Yeah.
how you're talking.
Yeah.
And if they do, they don't matter.
Exactly. And those that matter don't care.
Yeah.
I just recorded with Abby this afternoon. She's another guest on season 3, and her bit of advice is no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares about anything.
It's so hard to learn that.
It
And
really
just to
is.
give you an anecdote about that, which explains a bit of my psychology, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I was bought a coat once by Anne that was a lovely sort of long coat. And I wore it once. And on the Underground in London, these boys were laughing. And I thought they were laughing at my coat. And I never wore it again.
Oh.
Very self-conscious with
Really?
stuff like that. Yeah. And my family would say, well, you dyed your hair. You used to wear all these colored clothes. You were a poser as a teen.
Really, yeah.
But really insecure. So that kind of conflict, want to be seen, not want to be seen thing. But no one cares. No one's looking at you. I remember when I got married, I'd be like, everyone's looking at the fact I'm married. I've got a ring on my finger because I don't have jewelry. And it's the only bit of jewelry I wear. And all of those things, headphones over your head, I can't wear them. I have to wear in ear because I think everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
And I think that message from Abby is so important,
Yeah.
but really hard for so many of us.
I struggle.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this new cropped shirt for men from Uniqlo that in the label says women's blouse, but it was on a man's mannequin. And so I bought it thinking I love the style. And then I questioned it for weeks, and I've only just started wearing it. And it's like, no one cares.
But when I saw you earlier, I thought, I love that shirt.
Oh, thank you.
But
yeah.
And I think, again, maybe we can talk about this stuff now.
Yeah. I think before it.
Where that coat story,
yeah,
I didn't tell my wife for about 15 years.
Oh.
And because I felt it pointed to a little bit of my mental health, where at times I've struggled. I haven't been in places some people go, but I am vulnerable to feeling low.
Yeah.
And
well, we don't want to admit it, I suppose.
Yeah, and there just wouldn't be a thing. So people would call you moody.
Yeah.
And I hate being called moody. We all have moods.
Yes.
But of course, I'd have an extreme mood because I'm very up. Yeah. Or at least I'm quite cheery.
Yeah.
And when people know that I'm not, I'm really visibly not.
Yeah.
And that's quite scary. But also we couldn't talk about that. And I think so the world of podcasts allows people to talk about that. Yeah. We're much more open.
Yeah, definitely. Good, thank you. Back to the quickfire for the last...
Sorry, yeah, that wasn't very quick fire, was it?
It's like, they never are. And when I put the music over this, I have to crop it so it keeps repeating.
This bed is running for a long time.
Literally. Final 2 questions. If you could time travel, would you go forwards or backwards? Or stay right here?
Definitely backwards.
To when?
1984.
Why?
Best year ever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll ask why off the mic. Final question. A small amount of joy you've experienced recently?
Sing Street musical.
Yeah.
And my joy coming back, and everything is linked to music, and Sing Street is an example of that. New music on a Friday when I don't know that someone's got an album coming out. I love The Weeknd. I didn't know earlier in the year that their album was going to drop at that point.
Yeah.
And a student came in and said, David, have you been listening? And I went, to what? And they went, The Weeknd's album's out today. It's dropped. And I was like, oh, wow. And on the drive home, it was the best drive home.
This is why I miss driving. When I used to not live in London, in my small town, and things like that, new music and the album, you just go on a drive. And
Yeah. But I do think also an email from that guy who's moved from Australia to the UK, who's got a job, anything like that. An email from someone the other day who said, you won't remember, but years ago you did a session with me, and now I'm working in podcasting. We're hiring. Do you mind sharing? Because obviously I share media jobs, and that's just lovely.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I kind of need that fuel.
Yes, I think we all do.
And I'm quite happy now to admit that in a needy way, because people go, you're quite needy.
Yeah.
Well, what isn't it? Aren't we all?
I think we are.
And
People are afraid to admit it.
yeah.
But yeah. David Spencer, the media mentor, thank you for coming.
Oh, so lovely to chat to you.
It's been amazing, honestly. It's just under an hour. It's whizzed by.
Wow.
Thank you.
I can talk.
I love it. I love it. Where can people connect with you, find out about the work you're doing? And
So you'll find the Media Mentor podcast on all the platforms. Unlike yours, not visualized
Yet.
Controversial yet. But you just Google the Media Mentor and it does come up top of the searches, which is good. And do get in touch with any questions. I love people getting in touch. I don't necessarily say, look, come and have a paid session. But please listen to the podcast, because I am very proud of where it's got to. And someone who actually I taught with very early on in my early sort of teaching experiments, Kate, became a client recently. She was in a bit of a transition, and she messaged recently and said, thank you so much for like CV stuff. I'm going to get back to you about a couple of jobs. By the way, been listening to the podcast. I've been listening to episodes 2 or 3 times because I found it so informative.
Amazing.
And that's all I want. If 5 people love it, going back to the no one cares, I care that just a few people get something from it. And going back to my radio show, I did probably have about 10 listeners. But Anne loved it. My mum loved it at the time.
And you loved it.
Well, and that's the key thing. And also just in teaching, and there's a final lesson. When I did a weekend course at City Lit recently, I listened to an episode in the car because it's good to listen in different contexts.
Yeah.
And I got into the class and I said, just before we start, I listened to my podcast today and I thought, I'm so happy with it. That's all that matters. So all of you in this class, whatever you make, I'm going to help you make it better.
Yeah.
But be happy with it.
Totally.
And don't listen to all of that awful noise that's out there.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, why not hit that 5-star wherever you get your podcasts and hit the subscribe button so you're the first to know when the brand new episodes are released. We've also got more content over on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram at chatter.beans. Until next time, keep chatting, keep sipping, and I'll see you soon.